This podcast is hosted by Sheza Barbour, co-founder of Good Tree Institute, and joined by licensed therapist Archie Aquino and our resident scholar and founder, Dr. Nadia Qatranji.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Timeless Conversations. This episode is part 2 of Dua Done Right. We are continuing on this conversation in a part 2 episode because we felt that the conversation was necessary to kind of split and have our audience and ourselves even take time to reflect on the power of the ayat that we are being presented. So welcome to part 2 of Dua Done Right.
Yeah, definitely being vulnerable with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants us to show that. And there's a level of intimacy, right? Do you notice that there's a level of you're broken, you're vulnerable, and there's intimacy, nida'an khafiyya. Like it's just between you and me, ya Allah. And you could see that there is actually a relationship that was built. Right. There's a track record. So if you don't have that, you definitely want to start creating that. So that is, we have these 3 things, right? We have the vulnerability, we have that intimacy, we have that track record. So let's keep going. Let's see what else there is. And then he says, وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ وَرَائِي. And I certainly have feared the mawali. The mawali comes from the word waliya, which is to be close. So the mawali are the ones who are very close to me and following me. Min wara'i, from after me. So what does he mean by this? So basically, Zakaria alayhi salam is saying, I'm old, right? And the people around me, I really am not so sure that they can carry this message after I pass away, because they're not strong enough. They might have some weaknesses. They might have some issues. I don't know what's going on with them, right? And I'm afraid that if I hand them this, and if after I leave, Ya Rabbi, they're not reliable. And then he says, وَكَانَتْ إِمْرَأَتِي عَاقِرَةً. And my wife was barren. She was infertile. She's not able to have a child. So what do you notice about these ayahs here? What other elements is he adding now to the dua? Besides his vulnerability and being intimate and having that track record of dua makes sense. I trust the dua. I trust that, Ya Allah, you're answering me. What else is he adding? I'm afraid these people.
He's worried.
There is a worry. So there is a concern that he's bringing, right? And he's telling him, he's actually bringing the problem now. He's being very specific. Ya Rabbi, I have this problem. He's being very specific about it. And he's telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the obstacles that he has. Like, I can't have a child because I'm old and my wife is infertile and I need a child. So that he can take care of this prophecy after me. So, and he's bringing his concern. I'm concerned about this. And then he says, فَهَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا. So grant me from your possession a wali, a follower, a successor. Wali, again, from waliya, which is to be close. Somebody who's close to me, who can actually come after me and can take care of this issue, of this deen, can take care of this way. And then he was specific about this wali. He gave him more description so we know what he means. He says, يَرِثُنِي, who would inherit me, وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ, and would inherit from the family of Jacob, peace be upon him. Meaning he wants him to be a child, like a child, not only any wali, his child, but his child also who can become a prophet, who can kind of like keep that record from Yaqub alayhi salam. And then he says, وَجَعَلْهُ رَبِّ رَضِيًّا, and make him, Ya Rabbi, pleasing to you. Make him great, make him good, make him somebody who can carry this message. So what do you notice about this part of what he said? I feared the ones who are around me. They're not reliable enough. My wife was barren. So grant me a child who can inherit this message and make him, Ya Rabbi, on the right path, make him pleasing to you. What are you noticing? Besides, we said specific, so that was one thing. What else are you noticing?
Like he's giving reasons about why he needs this.
Yep. He's putting out his concern, right? Very clearly, Ya Rabbi, this is what I'm concerned about. And this is where I want to go back to what you said, Shaza, where you said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes answers it he would answer your dua. He may not answer it exactly as it is, and he might, right? So we want to keep track of that and see how it goes. And as we said, Allah is your Rabb. Whether you call him or you don't call him, he is going to make things happen. He is going to take care of this, right? So, but when it comes to even, we're going to go further into this, but when it comes to Zakaria alayhi salam, one of the biggest things is that he's asking for almost the impossible. Notice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
he's asking for two things. I'm saying he's asking for almost what we would consider the impossible.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you and your wife are past that.
And he's
that
old
time
too, right?
Yeah, he's old.
Exactly.
And his wife's not fertile. He's like, I don't know, but I'm asking for a son. So just, I'm just telling
exactly. We need a solution, and I want the solution through the impossible pathway. I know. And why is he saying this? Because he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do anything.
Right.
And this is where a lot of the times that's our stop. As this guy, one time his friend was having dinner in Medina, and in the last 10 days of Ramadan, he said, I wish I was with you. He was in a nearby country. And he said, well, yeah, come. I mean, just ask Allah and come. He says, well, what do you mean? I mean, I can't come. He said, well, do you believe that Allah can do it? He says, yes. He says, are you sure? Look, do you believe Allah can bring you? And he looked at him and says, no, I agree. I don't. And this is where our problem lies. We think that there's a limitation to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do. And we think that there are certain things that are not going to be possible. Or who am I that Allah would answer me? Yeah, he would answer Zakaria because he's a prophet. But who am I to answer me? Well, did you try? Why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought prophets for us? Not because, he chose them as a role model, but again, for us. When we play ourselves down, that is an ego thing, by the way. Don't think that's it. It's as bad as being arrogant. When you think you're not worthy, it's as bad as being arrogant. You are his abd. Of course you're worthy. That he will answer you. Ask Allah. And as the Prophet ﷺ says, ask him firmly. Uqsimu alayka ya Rabbi. Right? It's like, Ya Rabbi, I swear. I'm asking you, ask him firmly that, Ya Rabbi, I need this. I want this. Make this happen, Ya Rabbi. This is why I need it. But that's the catch. Sometimes we just we only ask for material stuff. Sometimes we only ask for selfish stuff.
Zachariah's dua, or his prayer here, it's not just about what he wants, but the reason why he wants this is it's about the deen. It's about the message being protected. It's not just about I want a son because I want an heir.
Exactly.
Right. It's much bigger than himself.
Beautiful. Yep.
It's not his legacy. It's the legacy of the deen. It's just trying to ensure this message is safeguarded for future generations.
Yeah, it's for the benefit of the world. It's bigger. And subhanAllah, when you grow yourself bigger than yourself, your issues will get fulfilled. Don't worry. Your thing will get fulfilled. Allah is taking care of you. That's the part that we just forget. He's our Rabb. He is taking care of us. Put your worry and your concern beyond our little things, our little materialistic dunya stuff. Make your make your concern, make your worry to something that's worth being worried about. The other things he's taking care of. He is taking care of. That makes us more fulfilled when we do that. And that's a key in dua. Make sure, you could still ask for these things. Make sure you include something big in your dua. Ask for, pray for other people. Make sure that you're praying for other people. Make sure in your dua that you're asking for other people as well as you ask about yourself and for yourself. Make sure you have a bigger goal beyond you. Even when you're asking, Ya Rabbi, I want this job, I want this school, I want this whatever, I want to get married to this person, just look inside that. What's a big intention that I can add to this and include it in your dua? Why do you want this job? Why do you want this school? A lot of the times there is a more selfish reason to it. That's fine. I mean, we start there as human beings a lot of the times, but make it bigger. Go with a bigger intention. Start adding that aspect to yourself. So now, here's what he says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds right away. And I love how, notice, if you go back, notice here where he said, grant me from you a wali, a successor, a follower who inherits me, who would inherit me and inherit from Ali Yaqub, and make him pleasing, Ya Allah. Right after he says the dua, right away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Zakaria. No commentary, nothing. Oh Zakaria, Inna nubashiruka bi ghulam. We are giving you the good news of a boy. Your dua is answered. Ismuhu Yahya. His name is Yahya. Yahya from Hayya, which is to live. Lam naj'al lahu min qablu samiyya. We did not make for him from before this in a name. Like nobody was named. Like for this name was not used before. He was the first one to be named Yahya. So right away he answers.
It's interesting, his name.
Yeah.
That it is Yahya, looking at the meaning of it, to live. I don't know. That just strikes me. Struck me.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And so he answered him, right? He's just like, okay, that's done. It's going to happen. Although Zakaria alayhi salam was like, he asked for the impossible, but when the answer came so quickly and so clear, look what Zakaria said. Qala, he said, Zakaria said, Rabbi, oh my caretaker, anna yakunu li ghulam. How am I going to have a boy? How would there be for me a boy? He kind of like woke himself up again to his reality. وَكَانَتْ امْرَأَتِي عَاقِرَةً. My wife, وَكَانَتْ امْرَأَتِي عَاقِرَةً. My wife was infertile. وَقَدْ بَلَغْتُ مِنَ الْكِبَرِ عِتِيًّا. And I've reached from the old age an extreme level. Like I'm very old and my wife is infertile. How is this going to happen? He got back to his the reality. Worldly reality. It's like, how is this going to happen? How can this happen, Ya Rabbi?
Could he give him an orphan? I mean, that'd be a technical way to get around that.
He is so funny. He is actually going to give him a boy from his wife. And he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالَ كَذَلِكَ قَالَ رَبُّكَ. كَذَلِكَ قَالَ رَبُّكَ. He said, like that your caretaker said. هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّن. It's easy on me. هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ وَقَدْ خَلَقْتُكَ مِنْ قَبْلُ. And I created you from before. وَلَمْ تَكُ شَيْئًا. And you were not a thing. Just because you're used to having a lot of people being created, you think it's not miraculous. Miracles are all over around you. So now you're thinking, oh, because the rule is that you have to be fertile and you have to be young to be able to have a boy. No, I created Adam from nothing, not from a human being, from turab as an initial thing. The impossible can happen. And we've seen it, right? We've heard many people who were infertile and how sometimes just literally going through dua and doing through these things. And I'm not saying that this is the only thing you should do. There are, of course, scientific
I
stuff that
mean,
you could do.
that happened to me.
Mhm.
I mean, that's something I've shared publicly, I've written about, and it's very close to my heart. And I share about it and talk about it because so many people deal with it in silence.
Mm.
It's just the pain of not being able to have a child. And, you know, this is exactly so with me, it was Diego and I couldn't have kids for like 5 years.
Mm.
We were trying and trying and trying, and I've taken medicines, I was doing all those kinds of things that I needed to do. And it was just that all the doctors were like, we can't explain this. And it was during, I mean, this has extra meaning for me. It was like during when the Syrian revolution started.
Mm.
And it was a very dark time for me. Like I was crying almost every night. Those early years was very rough. And I really wanted one more child. And I mean, alhamdulillah, I was grateful. I already had a boy and a girl, but for some reason we just wanted one more. And I got to the point where I was really desperate. And even though whatever the doctors told me, and I made a very deep, deep dua on the day of Arafah one day. And I was also very specific in what did my dua. And I was like, Ya Allah, I really, really want a child. And at that point, I actually had this image in mind and I asked for it. I was like, I want a girl and I want her to have curly hair. And I don't know, I had all this stuff and I was just saying it all, what I wanted her to look like, what I wanted her to be like. And even in my dua, I said, Ya Allah, if you grant me this child and it's a girl, I will name her Amal.
Mm.
Sorry, it's emotional for me, especially right now. Because I said I wanted her to name her Amal, specifically to remind me to never give hope on Syria. And what was going on there, that she would be my constant reminder of what, of just believing in him. And like, there is always going to be hope. There's always going to be hope for Syria. And just, we're about a month in since Syria was freed. And I remember that night, just recently, whatever, it was December 8th. And when Syria was freed, and I came back to that dua and I was like, oh my, I've had this little girl who's, Emma's 11 years old now. And so I made this dua 12 years ago, before I got pregnant. And first of all, Allah answered my dua exactly as it was. Like I ended up getting pregnant almost miraculously. And then when I found out it was a girl through the ultrasound, I was like, oh my God. And I told my husband, I told, the other people in my family, I was like, you can't ask me anything. Her name is going to be Amal. This is it. It's non-negotiable. And all these years I've looked at her and I'm always reminded of why did I name her that, and to constantly give hope. And then when Syria was freed a month ago, I came back to that dua and part of it is very emotional because I also realized how I had given up hope.
Yeah.
I had given up hope on Syria. I had marked it off and I had told my kids, like, I may never go back, but I hope one day you will. And then when it was freed, I was like, how did I give up hope on Allah? Like, how did I give up hope that Syria would ever be free? Like, yeah. I marked it as the impossible. And it's not. It happened. And it was just like a huge learning lesson. It's been very emotional this past year of just seeing how my du'as were answered to the detail, and then how forgetful I have become in Allah's power, and being reminded, no, He's always there. and you can never forget. And I gave you this child for you to remember, and yet I forgot, and just kind of was like, this is never going to happen.
Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, yeah, that's what it looks like.
And even if you're not as devout as you, like, here's a story from a skeptical person who's a convert. And before I even became Muslim, I was interested in Islam. I had a friend, and she was like, "Be careful when you study Islam who your teachers are, right? Because there are people out there who could try to manipulate you and weaponize you and stuff like that." And so she said, she made dua, I think, even though I didn't know. I think she did make dua. She said, you need to have a teacher who is scientific in her thinking or his thinking. Make sure that this person is a scholar, like not just anybody who just reads and then gives their own interpretation. They have to be certified as a scholar, and they have to have a real sincerity and love for Islam. And then I said, okay. And I didn't take it seriously. And then I go to ICC for their Islam 101 class, and I go in, and then there's Dr. Nadia as my Islam 101 teacher, and her credentials are she's a pathologist, she's a scholar, she's got a love for Islam, she's got good tree, and it was like everything I needed. And looking back on it, like this was 8 years ago, looking back on it, like I think the reason I was given that was because now I'm doing so many things with Islam that are good for a lot of people. It wasn't just about my learning, it's about what I was going to do with the learning. And so it's like got so many ripples when you ask Allah for things and he gives it to you. It's not meant just for your own benefit.
So true, subhanAllah, so true. And that's why the only way this is going to be built for us is by trying. There's no other way. You can hear from people and you can start, okay, getting inspired and seeing, okay, this is real. There's all the people who had a track record with making dua and trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, building that trust. You're going to see a lot of these examples. I mean, I literally, from the moment I start doing that, it's like every single thing that has been happening. It's amazing to see how it unfolds. And it unfolds even better than what I expected. Even better. And sometimes I would be shook and just like, oh my God, this is dua that I made. And look how it turned out. Sometimes you don't even connect the dots that this is from that. When you start seeing it, it's shocking to see how when you put that intention and that vision, and especially to what you said, whether you, Shaza, or you, Arsh, both of your examples are beyond just you, especially when you're doing it this way. It's like you see it happening. You see it right in front of you. And all what that does, it brings more and more of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's you're trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's where a lot of the times people talk about manifesting, right? And they talk about attracting, like, that secret, what you attract will have, and all of these things. What are these? Like, all of these aspects are actually your Rabb taking care of you, but you just don't want to name it your Rabb taking care of you. You can call it energy, you want to call it universe, you want to call it Mother Nature, you want to call it whatever, manifestation and the stars and everything, but you're not willing to acknowledge the source. And again, it goes back because we're just not willing to tackle this aspect. We don't want to deal with how we understood things. It's all of this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants you to put your vision out there. And he is because when he puts this interest in you, he puts this, whatever manifest you want to call it, vision, whatever you want to call it, he's putting it with you because that's what he wants. He ask for it. Or even when he puts a certain struggle in our way, he wants us to conquer that struggle. He wants us to go through it. He wants you to be positive in it. He wants you to deal with things. He doesn't want us to be resigned. And he wants us to see the power of connecting with him, because that soothes our hearts. That gives us more ability to deal with life.
Yeah, because the alternative is if you don't have that, you're always like anxious and you're always worried and you're always trying to control things that you maybe shouldn't be trying to control. And you just get so frustrated and resigned in your own life. Like you're in crisis.
Yeah. And you feel lonely, although you're not lonely. You're not alone. You feel lonely, but you're not alone. You just aren't recognizing it. You're not alone. Can you, do you see how it's really tough? Yeah. And subhanAllah, inshallah, next time when we talk about the continuation of Zakaria alayhi salam, we'll address the aspect that you mentioned about amal, which and the hope and all of that. This is very profound. I don't want to water down the amount it's in it, because it's very beautiful. So we want to give it more time, inshallah, so we can address it next time, bi'Iznillah, when we talk about how Zakaria responded and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. We'll address that, inshallah.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I mean, this was a intense episode, but just to wrap up, we have questions like we always do for our audience to think about and ponder internally. And again, like we usually say, journal it or bring it up in your notes app and kind of really think about these questions and answer them for yourselves. So based off of just these, these first 8 to 9 ayahs that we covered, take a look and think about what kind of du'as do you generally make? What kind of du'as, like prayers, do you generally make? Then notice, do you have a pattern within that? Such as, do you get frustrated that you feel like your du'as aren't being answered? Or if your dua was answered, but in a different way than you thought or wanted? Do you reach out to God when you only need help? It's like only when you need or want something fulfilled. Do you notice your needs that you're asking for? Like, is that your pattern? Do you notice, like, is it only material things that you're asking for in life? Or are you asking for the greater good? Are you making dua for others? And then think about, is your pattern that you don't really have a pattern? That you don't get to the point of actually making dua? Because maybe you feel like it's not even going to be answered. Do you notice that you don't even have a relationship with God, perhaps? Or perhaps do you notice that your pattern is that you would rather believe in manifesting without acknowledging the true divine source? Like, are you bypassing God because you have been hurt in the past by others, things that have been done, dogma, abuse of religion, things like that? So you don't even want to acknowledge God. You're just saying, I'm just going to manifest this. So those are the questions. And then with this episode, we also have a suggestion for our audience. Do you have a running list of du'as that you make? If not, start creating a list of du'as in your journal, in your notes app, and revisit it every year and really see how many have been answered. Or maybe they were answered in a different way. It's a way to start connecting the dots and strengthening your relationship with God.
So can I add something, Shaza?
Absolutely.
So I just, as you are putting the list, one thing that I would want to add is allow yourself to see the truth and be vulnerable about where you're at with your dua, and it's fine. These aspects that we mentioned are aspects that we mentioned because we ourselves were in these spaces at one point. I mean, I could literally pinpoint each and every one of them that I went through. And it's okay to notice that this is where you're at, and knowing it and recognizing it is a big deal. It's a first most important step. And just don't make yourself wrong. That's a very natural reaction that we can have, that our psyches and our nafs has when we deal with certain things. And this is how it goes. And the intention of us doing this is to allow for ourselves to discover and distinguish that and choose otherwise. So it's okay. Allow yourself to be like that, and it just like recognize it and don't make it wrong, and learn from Zakaria. So that's the other piece the other point that I wanted to bring is, remember the aspects that we mentioned about Zakaria alayhi salam, and notice which ones do you do and which ones would you like to enhance. So remember, we said that he was very intimate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was vulnerable. Do you make yourself vulnerable? Do you have that you time with Allah? Make yourself, do you want to start building that track record that Shaza is talking about? Like, start adding these. Are you being specific? Are you being specific? And we will address that a bit more, inshallah. I know we didn't talk a lot about, it's like, okay, well, I could be specific, but Allah is not. Like, my answer isn't specific. We'll talk about that, inshallah, more. But be specific in your problem. Put the problem out and put all the things, and ask for the impossible, and ask for something bigger than yourself. And be like, insist with your dua. So remember these aspects as well as you are, inshallah, practicing it. See which ones do you have, write them down. Which ones do you have, which ones do you not, and start practicing that and build it. It's a journey, it's a process. Be gentle with yourself, take care of it. This is for you, it's not against you, it's not a chore, it's something for you to really grow, to have that comfort, to have that peace, to be able to work with life the most powerful way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, the divine source, has actually designed us to be working in the best way possible. This is the best form that we can be working and operating in life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for us.
Thank you so much for that reminder. And again, for everybody in the audience, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share with others, and subscribe for the next download. Thank you so much, and see you at the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.
If you like listening to our conversation about the Quran, imagine how much more you would get out of participating in a live conversation about the Quran with Dr. Nadia and a room full of people engaging with the Quran. Join us at our next in-person Seeds of Wisdom retreat, online with our weekly Quran and Me sessions, or for the youth at one of our Camp Z retreats.